What up, though? This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts in 3 Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts in 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
We got it, the new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, no? Coming in like a bushwhacker, and Samsung doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. But if you mess with Michigan's Finest, you will know what I'm talking about. But with that being said, this is the KO3C Awards. Corey has rejoined the show, and today we are talking about the things that come in the way of the fisticuffs. Best knockouts, the best submissions, the best fights, and all that good shit in the world of MMA and combat sports and all those good things. And if you're into the world of combat sports, you need to hit that subscribe button, because you would see that we have Jimmy Flick, who will be on your first card of the UFC in 2023. And if you're a betting type of man, I'd put it on Mr. Flick, because, I mean, at least to put it on by submission, because that guy is always throwing up by submissions. He's got a tough fight against Charles Johnson on this one. I'd love to get Charles on here as well. It's going to be a banger of a fight, but damn, we have a lot to talk about in the world of MMA. Gentlemen, how are you doing on Tuesday?
Well, I'm glad, first off, that jolly old Mr. St. Nick brought some new tech to this damn house so you can see my lovely face again, you know.
Looking well, by the way. Looking well. Very
Appreciate it.
clear. Very clear.
Appreciate it. New upgraded camera, if you can't tell. But that being said, no, beyond that, also glad you brought up the whole Flick interview, man. That one really burnt my bridges, as some might say, man. That one really hurt, man. The fact that I was looking forward to it. I enjoyed our first interview we had with Jimmy Flick back in the day, I believe like 3 years ago at this point. And to know that we were having him back, and then for that to be the night that I experienced the most technical difficulties I basically have ever while doing this show, was really a swift reminder of that. Maybe I should take some of that Christmas spirit that I was holding on to and spend it on a computer, but we shall see.
You should.
Either way, that being said, glad to be back with you boys. Sorry I missed out on the wrestling awards and stuff, but seeing you guys did a good job and stuff on that end.
Who were some of your picks?
Who were some of my picks? I mean, like, it's so weird, right? Wrestler of the Year, Uncle Chase. But
there we go. Corey's going straight off our guess. I like it.
Big Pop aside. All seriousness aside, you guys
Big Pop.
You guys had
big love
way better opinions on all that stuff than I would have. You know how my game goes on that stuff. I pick the common favorite, and I feel like that's what a lot of my picks would have been, was just riding coattails of other people's decisions. So that being said, I feel like wrestling had a very big year, and I feel like the one thing I did want to really get to on that show that I feel like was the moment of the year or match of the year, should we say, was the whole CM Punk backstage taking on the tag the all elite
The
themselves.
Young
Like that
Bucks
was
and
like
the Elite.
that was the match of the year in my opinion, was the
Pastries
backstage brawl.
at the scrum.
But besides that, man,
It goes down at the media scrum.
Does, man. There ain't another champ in the world that can eat pastries and hold the title, man. I'll tell you that. Ain't gonna happen again.
Hey, dude, I ain't mad at it. You do what you want to do when you're the champ. That's why you're the motherfucking champ. But
yeah,
you know,
that's why you don't. That's why you don't remain the champ.
Look, bro, tell that to Winky Wright. You say that, but Winky Wright was known for after every fight that motherfucker's cheat meal would be eating a box of Krispy Kreme. So fuck you.
I'm not talking about the.
He was a world champ.
You can
and
eat
he
all the pastries you want.
All the Krispy Kremes in that.
I'm talking about the backstage antics. That's what I was regarding. But that being said, boys,
I was just sticking up for eating donuts.
glad to be back. Glad to have finally fixed up some of my technical issues. I have a appointment scheduled with WoW to get some new internet router because I've been on the same router for 3 years now. So we'll see how that goes. It got to do something.
I like it. We're just getting new everything in here.
Gotta do.
What up, Steve? I'm still trying to get out of there. I'm locked up. Won't let me out. Corey, what up, Cody?
What up?
Oh boy.
All right, so what topic are we going with first?
Corey, since you haven't been here in a minute, man, you pick. Let's go.
Yeah, you pick first.
I feel like arguably the most interesting and the one that you could take in so many different directions would be prospect of the year. So I feel like that should be maybe the leader because those are the people that we plan to see highlights of in the future. So let's start there.
You go first.
This one I personally struggled with a bit because it's like obviously there's so many different choices that you could go down. There's so many different there's we were kind of pre-gaming during beforehand during the show, and we were mentioning do you go with the guy that's now became a star even though he's been in the UFC and been active for 2 years or something along those lines? Do you go the straight up debuted this year type of talent? Because that's kind of the direction I initially took it. And I feel like there's a couple different directions you can go. And I feel like my pick is it's almost like an apology letter to Rosa Jr., Raul Rosa Jr., or however you properly say the 17 turn 18-year-old's name now. I feel like after his debut at MSG, living up to the hype and able to get the sub in the first round, the first one I was a little salty because the win was against our boy Mondo in the Contender Series and stuff, but to then kind of show up that, hey, this young kid that's making his debut on literally the biggest stage that there is, an MSG pay-per-view, he may have been still on the prelims, but he was high on the prelims even. And this fight had a lot of talk going into it and everything. And I feel like he really lived up to those anticipations. And coming into this next year, I'm very curious. I feel like they're going to still do the slow build. So we're not going to see him maybe in the title picture for another 2 years or something along that lines. But just the fact that he was able to go in there and kind of cement that, hey, he may be an issue at 135 and potentially 45 in the future. Huh?
All right. To me, man. You were well. There were a couple of times it went it went in and out for me, but I don't know.
We don't need
either way.
Shit, okay? We don't need that shit tonight.
All right.
I like it. All right, so one more. Patty Pimblett lost that fight.
Agreed.
People are still coming at Patty.
Agreed.
I mean,
I know.
it's hard on that one, bro. So your pick was who, Corey? Just so we have it all. We all have it on.
Raul Rosa Jr. or however
Okay.
you
How you say
properly.
That's
the
all right.
18-year-old
Yeah,
gangster.
dude. I'm telling you, I couldn't pronounce his name the first time I seen him.
I got a totally
Too
different
many rolling
pick, man.
R's and too many rolling R's in that name.
Yeah, really.
I got
What,
a
Kyle?
totally different pick. I got somebody who I think is not only the prospect. I think Ilya Taporia
Mhm.
is mine for the year. I feel like that guy's going to have a huge 2023. He came out and was like wrecking the motherfuckers that he fought.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
hey, man, he didn't
To
have no
anyone that was
qualms about
able-
putting his head right out there and, try to stick his head in Patty's face, knowing where some of that money was at. Like, you know what, dude? I ain't mad at you, homie. Get your money. I ain't mad at you. Get your money. See, and the people agree with me. I tell
That's
you.
where I struggled. I full-heartedly agree with that pick, but that's where like I had mentioned before my pick, I had to preference, like, was I talking about a debuting fighter or somebody who has, now established themselves. And I went the
That's where
debuting
I
route,
was
but I
kind of in the
completely-
middle too. We talking about this
Yeah.
previous year. We going into 2023 because it's kind of a little rocky for me. But look,
mean,
dude,
you
a
can
lot
really
of
go
these-
either way, but I feel like usually that's going to be the same person that was kind of on their way up in 2022 as the person who you're going to be looking forward to what they're going to do in 2023
Yeah.
because
right.
Taporia, especially with the run that he was on,
No, he's
and just the
absolutely
way he was just
well-deserving.
wrecking
Yeah.
dudes. Like, dude, like I said, and no disrespect to Patty. Like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's like they say in the other end of things, what we talk on this show, pro wrestling. A W is a W. Say what you want. They said Patty won. Now, do I think Doug Crosby needs to be like, I don't know what you do with that guy, but you need to like retrain that dude? Hey, but at the same time, at the end of the day, I ain't mad at Patty. Patty went in there and did what he had to do, and they raised his hand. I got my hand raised, pay me the 2 checks.
Absolutely.
That's how this works.
You ain't gonna go in there and tell
I
the judge,
won.
hey, I think I lost.
You raise my hand, you give me 2 checks. That's how it works. And at the end of the day, they said he won. Now, if I was Jared Warren, dude, I would say I want to fight him again.
It
Jared
just
Gordon,
truly,
excuse
to
me.
me, the big thing that really stands out to me is like right? But this is such a big topic still, right? It really truly is, right? And there's so many people that still have this fight on their mind and stuff. For me as a fight fan, I've seen so many more egregious robberies than that throughout my fight fandom. I really have. I mean, I feel like people are maybe recency biasing that one a little bit. That being said, Gordon won. I'm not disagreeing in that regard and stuff. In my opinion, I would have definitely scored it for him. But it just really amazes me, like how I talk on your guys' wrestling side all the time. Where the fans are behind truly shows that whether or not you agree with him or not, now Patty may be going down the Mayweather effect where, people want to see him lose now because they felt as though he lost this one, Well, it's just interesting that star power really is that big, that fight is like looming on people's minds that much still to this day, I feel like.
Agreed. He lost that fight. I don't care what anybody says. Whatever. Look, man. So for me, my prospect, dude, this could go so many ways. Like I said, I got probably 5 guys that I could just throw out there, but this guy could even be my fighter of the year. And if it's not a prospect, it could be, depending on the opinion of how it works, man. This guy's only had 2 fights this year, 3 fights in the UFC, 2 fights in the UFC. I don't even know what it is, but he's now the UFC middleweight champion, Alex Pereira.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he had 3 fights this year.
3 fights. And that's incredible, dude.
All of his fights did take place this year.
You have 2 this year,
I believe
1
so.
this
year? Oh wow. Okay.
That's instant.
Yeah, that's wild.
Shot to the top. That's the fastest rise in UFC history that we've ever seen. It's rather incredible, dude. even if it's just this year or going forward into 2023, I'm very curious to see how he handles it all, how he maintains, holding that tight. It's harder to keep the belt than it is to get there, as they say. Once you're at the top, everybody wants you, man. So I'm going to be curious to see who he fights. And stylistic, we have to see how he matches up with everybody else. You know what I mean? I mean, we see what he did to Strickland, just a crazy mauling. With Izzy, maybe he didn't have the best fight all the way up until the end there, but hey, like Kyle said, a W is a W.
Well, you already know that's going to be a rematch, and I mean, for 4 out of 5 rounds, he was beating the shit. He was beating the shit out of Pereira.
Yeah, you would think
it's
so.
It's very reminiscent of the Izzy rise himself, right? Like he kind of came out of nowhere, was this kickboxer that if you followed kickboxing and stuff overseas that you may have known about, but besides that, all of a sudden, who's this Izzy guy? Who Israel? What? Like nobody. I remember there was a point where everybody was saying his last name wrong, just completely. Like I don't even remember how they were pronouncing it. It was like Idasanya, or like they were just everybody was just saying it wrong. Like that's how like.
Go with Izzy.
Yeah, that's how like unfamiliar everybody was with him, and now like he's blown onto the scene to be this multiple time defending champ and stuff. And here we are, I feel like, with a very similar path with Alex Pereira.
It took him a year and 6 days to have his UFC debut and to win his first UFC title. Okay. 1 year and 6 days.
We'll count that.
Well,
we'll give him a week of grace. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Well, and look, dude, like, here's the thing. Like, this guy knocked out Izzy when Izzy hasn't been beaten in MMA, but I'll save my thoughts for when we get to the knockout. I'll save my thoughts for the knockout of the year until we get there. But that's why you got to pay attention. But all right, I've picked one. Corey's picked one. J-Bone, what's the next topic?
Oh gosh, here we go. I'll throw one out there. Let's see. I got them all right here in front of me. I'll do.
And then, just for the record, your pick for the last one was who?
Alex Pereira.
How do you say it? Pereira. Okay. Yeah, Pereira. And also just Pereira. For the record, we were still on the first pick, Kyle. So you still also have to pick one, just for the record.
I already did.
Yeah. No, we were still on the first topic.
That was the first pick.
I did.
Prospect of the year. You picked a fighter.
I did. I picked Taporia.
Yeah, for your prospect. You haven't picked a topic yet, is what he said.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to pick a topic. Okay, I'm sorry. My topic. Let's see. I'm gonna go with fight of the year because this was a real pain in the ass for me because I had to go back and look. When you think about fight of the year, and there's so many fights. Like they have fights every weekend. So you literally got to go back and look at fights. But for me, it came down to three fights. It came down to Poirier versus Chandler. It came down to Yuri and Glover. And it came down to Gilbert Burns and Chimaev.
All pretty solid.
But the reason that I picked mine is because of the stakes that were in it and because of the way it happened. Yuri versus Glover is fight of the year for me because, dude, Glover, see? Steve and I just must be simpatico. It must be all that time at the same post office because, see, he agrees with me. I think for me it's got to be Yuri and Glover, man. That was a banger of a fight. Glover had that one in the bag, in my opinion. Had that not happened the way it did, and for him to submit Glover when Glover is the submission guy that he is, that one was the one for me, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, it's hard not to be nuts when you work at the same place like we did. Like, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that. I just didn't want to be the guy that said that, but
oh shit, I'll be that guy. I'll tell you myself.
When you work at the same institution, right? I mean, come on, guys.
Might make you go postal.
I'm glad we didn't all come to a unanimous pick on that first one, because I'm worried a bit of our picks may end up being a little bit unanimous on this one, because I completely agree with you on that one, Kyle. Dealing with the stakes, dealing with everything that was going on at 205, the fact that Yuri was this like undefeated in the UFC monster, right? He just keeps knocking everybody out in this crazy fashion, and then he goes in this total slugfest with Glover. And then to your point, Kyle gets the guillotine choke, no hooks in the last 40 seconds of the fight or something, of a 5-round fight.
No, it was a rear
truly
naked.
Wild. Yeah, well, it was just truly wild, the fact that he was able to do it, to your point, against a very well trained submission expert. And like I said, it was just like an exhaustion choke that he was able to sink in and actually land at the last
100%.
moment. And the fact that he was able to like pull it off, and it, like, we'll be mentioning Leon Edwards' name a lot later, but or at least I will be. But that being said, it's almost like that, where it was like that never give up on yourself mentality. But I feel like it was even more represented in that fight, being that fight was so much back and forth, and where I feel like the Leon Edwards one was just Leon Edwards was getting beaten and then came back. Where Yuri, I felt like, to your point, it was 3-2, but it was still 3-2 with, hard fought rounds throughout that 5-round fight to get to that point. So that's what made that fight of the year for me.
I agree.
Well, shit, that leaves me, right? And I guess we're talking about going unanimous. I guess I'm just not going to do that, because
okay, I like it.
Why would
against the grain? Against the grain.
Why would I want to agree with you schmucks, huh? On anything. No, for me, though, honestly, for me, there was so many, like you guys said, implications on that title fight, man. But like going back, and if I really could watch one fight over and over again, just for entertainment purposes, man, I think it would be Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. That fight from start to finish,
not a bad choice at all, dude.
Fast. There was no, even in pure exhaustion, these guys are just throwing bombs that could put anybody to sleep, dude. And to go
How
5
about
rounds,
like in between the round when Khamzat smacked Gilbert Burns because he pushed him off him?
yeah. And then what was that? The end of that fight. So somewhere towards the end of that fight, I remember Gilbert put a foot right into Khamzat's chest, man, and just kicked him off, and the crowd went nuts. It was every little movement, every little possible maybe like this fight's gonna end pretty soon. The crowd was into it from start to finish, dude. And that just showed how tough Gilbert Burns was, and the step up for Khamzat in competition at that point was actually pretty incredible, man. He jumped up with like 10 spots or something to fight Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
And lasted, man. The dude, that's a dude to watch out for, man. So that's my fight of the year.
Yeah, I like that comment on that one. That's exactly my opinion. That's why that fight stood out to me, is because Khamzat kind of went into that being such a boogeyman, and he was like this, yet again, like I was saying with the Yuri fight, he was this undefeated monster. He's just running through people. In his circumstance, it was even more crazy because he had gone through all these fights. I think it was like 4 fights in and had 1 punch landed on him or something.
Yeah.
Like some crazy statistic that no fighter will probably ever match. Like that's an insane statistic.
It's a different game when you get up into that top 3. You know what I mean? It's a whole different class up there, man. It's incredible.
And that's what definitely made that fight stand out to me the most. The fight itself was, of course, incredibly entertaining, but the fact that like it showed Gilbert Burns had that dog in him. He was able to stay with him, and he was able to not tame the boogeyman, because he still lost ultimately, but he was able to really show his grit, and to I didn't catch a commenter's name, but to his point, really cement the fact that, hey, this guy's beatable. You just got to come in with the right strategy.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, Steve, you've been commenting along the whole way. What topic you want to go with next? Tell me, which one should we go with next?
Oh shit!
No, throw it to the listeners. I like that one. Let's see if we come up.
All right, what topic you want next, Steve?
What do we got left? We still got fighters of the year, male and female.
Yeah.
We got fighter of the year,
comeback of the year.
Yep.
We still got.
Let's see. You got submission of the year. You got knockout of the year. You got story of the year. You got comeback of the year.
While we're waiting, I guess not to like tell the story.
All right, he's throwing out weight classes. We'll go with story of the year, dude. And to be honest, it's for me, it's a simple one, dude. It's real recent too. Like this thing with James Krause. Like I really feel like that this could have like a lasting impact on the sport. Like if this continues to muddy the waters and they keep trying to having to stick their nose out or try to make an example, I mean, it's gonna continue to make MMA, look bad. Now, the sad part of it is I don't know that there's anything that in a court of law you could really find against James Krause. And I mean, he's already prepared for the worst, he's already prepared for the worst, by selling the stakes in his gym. You got to see what's going to happen for his fighters who, remind you, you've got Brandon Moreno, who's been out there. You've got, he's got a lot of good guys that are in the UFC, and he's been in the UFC. And now you can't have him at any events. And then you still don't know what's going to all happen with how all this is going to play out, because it's been confirmed that the FBI is looking into the shit. So it's wild, bro, that all this stuff could happen over betting. So for me, that's the crazy one, because I just feel like this could have a lasting impact on MMA for years to come. So whichever one of y'all wants to go next.
Well, yet again, not to make it unanimous, I actually wanted to come at this one with a 3-pronged attack, because I had a feeling that this is absolutely the story of the year. To your point, Kyle, is the James Krause thing, right? It absolutely is, and he's maybe not the only one that may have some cards fall on him once everything kind of is said and done. I feel like when you don't bar all these coaches and fighters and all that type of stuff from betting on this stuff, and then all of a sudden a huge investigation comes in, like there's serious ramifications that may come of this. And that being said, I hope it just kind of is like, hey, we understand that wasn't the rules that were in place given to you by your employer, and maybe you didn't understand that was a federal offense, and here's a 2-year probation.
But there's not even really any proof that he did it, though. Did anything in the wrong?
Did anything actually wrong, right? Like, but the fact is,
and to your earlier point.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, to your earlier point, like the cards falling on other people, it already did. Derek Minner's already been cut from the UFC.
Yeah. Flick's opponent, his former opponent, Jeff Molina, is now formally suspended, and he wasn't even involved in the actual fight. I don't know if he's cornering that night or anything like that, but he wasn't even directly involved, and now he's dealing with a suspension due to the matter. So like I say, we shall see where the cards kind of fall on that. But to keep it on more of a lighter note, because I felt like that was the obvious story of the year.
No, and I don't mean that as like a dogger,
No, I know. And that's what it's like. I said, that's the obvious one, right? That is like clearly the biggest thing that may affect it. Number 2, I feel like, is the big push for open scoring and actual changes in some type of scoring system. I know there's been tons of talk about that throughout the years and stuff, but I feel like there's never been more of an actual challenge to the system than there has been throughout the last couple of, year and a half, right? We got like that, a couple real shaky decisions throughout this last year. And I feel like they tried to do something about it when they changed the way that they're scoring it based on damage now, compared to just like the way that they felt as though the fight went. Now it's just leading to people being confused, because we've watched fights forever, and hey, you get ground control time, even if you're maybe not the most offensive with it and stuff like that, you still win the fight. And now all of a sudden we're seeing a change up in that. So a lot of people are like, what the hell? That being said, I feel like open scoring, whether you change how it's scored or whatever the case be, open scoring at least lets the athletes that are competing know, hey, I'm down to, hey, I'm up to, whatever the case be. It helps the fighters actually competing.
I'm with that 100%.
My third point is kind of more of a feel-good story, I guess, on this one. Zion Clark making his professional MMA debut. The man with no legs, former national All-American, I believe, in his weight class at collegiate wrestling, now makes his move into MMA. Just so, like I said, so happens to be a man with no legs, but is trying his best, it appears, to really make something of himself, despite the things he was kind of, I don't know how to word it right.
Not to cut you off, Corey, but I reached out to Zion Clark, and I mean, that guy's already got a huge following just from his motivational speaking and all that stuff too. And I watched the fight. I mean, once he got him to the ground, dude, he controlled him.
Yeah.
I mean, big ups to his opponent for taking the fight, but dude, he got the W, and I mean, it's something crazy. I mean, I reached out to him, Zion. If you hear this, like I said, I would love to bring you on the show.
I feel like if you're talking about story, I feel like that's definitely at least feel good story of the year. Is somebody being able to overcome the difficulties that they were born with. And
hell yeah, that's awesome. Like I'm not hating on it at all. That's amazing.
That's true. That's true grit, and you love to see stuff like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
People never give up on themselves.
You love to see it this time of year.
Overcome, But what about you, Jordan? What's your story of the year, my friend?
You guys went deep as fuck. First of all, you guys really dug in the bag for that. I was keeping it more topical, mainstream UFC MMA stuff, man. But for me, the big story of the year was Charles Oliveira vacating the lightweight title, man. It was a big deal. And honestly, I think he got a little cheated on that. I know making weight is making weight. I know it's a thing, professional. I get it, man. But half a pound, dude, come on. We've seen worse.
On a title fight, though, that's a
title fight. Circumstance-wise, dude. The cool thing was he went out there and he still kicked ass.
Have a brick. Oh,
put Gaethje out. You know what I mean? So man. He went out there and cemented. He should have been holding that title.
I couldn't argue with that at all. Like, there's no argument at all with that. With that being said, I mean that may lead into fighter of the year and who people are going to pick for fighter of the year, because I mean, dude, whether he did or didn't, when he got to Makhachev didn't give a shit.
Yeah, he hit a very big brick wall. Called his
Hey man, I'm just saying, I like Oliveira. If Oliveira hears this, I like Oliveira. And this is coming from a guy who self-admittedly, if you watch this show, I wasn't the biggest fan of Oliveira from when he was at 145 and missing weight. He missed weight against one of my teammates, Miles Jury. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Oliveira. But I have said self-admittedly on this show that his run at 55 and the way he's just came back and looked good and just ran through dudes and went with the reckless abandon like that, I will give him all the credit in the world. So anybody that wants to say anything about me saying something about Oliveira, this is coming from a place of I was not the biggest fan of the guy, and I will give the guy all the credit in the world. That's what's crazy, because dude, Makhachev in 2023 could be crazy, but I don't know, that I feel like that kind of leads us into fighter of the year on the male side. So I mean, I'll go first. My pick for fighter of the year isn't Makhachev. I think he's going to be, I feel like he's going to be the breakout star of 2023. I feel like fighter of the year on the male end of things is Alex Pereira for me, because again, you give it like a 6-day thing. If you look at it, he didn't fight any scrubs, and then just kind of worked his way straight up through to the title, and then knocked out Izzy. And let's also talk about the fact that Izzy knew he could knock him out because he'd already done it before, and now he did it in MMA. So now, don't get me wrong. I think Izzy was winning the 4.5 rounds of that before that, but still, it is what it is. And Alex Pereira is the champ. And if you want to talk about a total year, again, I'm giving him 6 days grace.
Rightfully so.
He's fighter of the year for me. And he got the championship, so that gives you extra points.
Yeah. What about you, Jordan? I feel like I keep taking number 2. So let's hear.
Stop taking number 2 on the show, bro.
Corey wants the bronze medal this time.
Look, man, we've seen all year long. We've seen a revolving door and title defenses and new champs and everything. But one name that has remained at the top is Alexander Volkanovski. Nobody's touched him.
He was going to say Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Him too. You can't go wrong with old Rudolph, man. It is Christmas time. But hey, his name's remained at the top, man. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen with him. I think he's going to run into some trouble here pretty soon. But how do you deny it, man? The guy stayed the champ. He only had 2 fights in 2022, but like I said, the king remains at the top. It's Volkanovski for me.
Yeah, that's the direction I was also leaning as well on this one. I feel like because of the fact he's kind of really cemented that win. Was the Ortega fight last year? It was last year.
2021. Okay. Yeah.
All right, but either way, he really cemented himself as the, at least right now, number 1 pound for pound. With the fact that Israel Adesanya lost, and I feel like the fact that not only Izzy lost, but Kamaru Usman lost, and they both lost the way they did, Volkanovski really became that clear, like, number 1. And the way he was able to run through Holloway in this matchup, where at least a bunch of people like me that were Holloway fans were like, the second one was where Holloway was coming in hot. He's got him figured out. This third one's about to be it. Volkanovski fucking steamrolled him.
Yeah.
And it really hurt my fandom down in there. It hurt it. But that being said, man.
You're not wrong. I like him too.
Volkanovski really earned my respect in both that fight and the way he was able to handle Korean Zombie. So that being said, and the fact that he's not hanging on his morals or just lolling on his belt and is saying none of these contenders are active enough. I want to go take on the scariest contender or, fighter that I can in the 155-pound champ, and which just so happens to be, like you say, a terrible matchup and stuff. And we'll see. I think he'll probably end up being fighter of the year next year with the victory over Volkanovski. But that being said, it's hard to count out Volkanovski, and he has, in my opinion, earned that spot for this year.
All right. I like it. Well, I just picked another topic. So, boys, who wants next?
Well, I feel like
I got this one. Do I got to go first, though, if I pick the topic?
Yeah, that's
how it works.
Okay.
That's how it works. You gotta follow the rules.
We're gonna go female fighter of the year. We're gonna go for the lady this time. Give the lady some love here, man.
Kind of had to go that way. We kind of had to go that way because I thought it was male and female fighter of the year. All right. So, who's your female fighter of the year?
Our female fighter of the year is gonna have to be Weili Zhang. It's got to be total dominance in her fights, man. That spinning back fist we were talking about earlier, Kyle, against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. If I said, hopefully I didn't butcher that. Incredible, huge. Kyle think he's fine with that fucking belt that he's gonna lose in January.
I'm the champ. I'm gonna win some more money.
Not to mention,
I'm coming to your house to take all your money.
Oh, he's taking shit.
I'm coming to take all your money, just like you just took my pick, because Weili Zhang was gonna be my pick.
I gotta remember to bring that fucking belt out here every time. I always say I'm gonna bring it out here.
See, this is why making a studio in my house has become a good idea and a great idea.
I don't want to go in my room and open the door because you definitely don't want to see what's behind that door. But anyway, back to what
I don't need to see your skeletons. Joey, feel free to throw in your picks. Who's your female fighter of the year?
Show for a different time. Weili Zhang, female fighter of the year, man. Next.
I like it. Corey, who's female fighter of the year?
Hard to disagree with that point. Yet again, I had kind of already pre-preferenced the fact that we had some before the live button got hit chats, and that being said, my pick wasn't really loved by Kyle, but I felt like his hammering of his opinion made me feel mine was even. It made me feel even stronger about my opinion. So that being said, I'm sticking with my guns here. Larissa Pacheco, I feel like the fact that she literally became this girl that's just every year somehow makes it to the finals for PFL.
Hey, I picked the same one too.
Then,
what the hell?
And then every year she just makes it to the PFL finals to get steamrolled by Kayla Harrison. She was a like minus 900 dog or some shit going into that fight, and then was able to honestly just handle Kayla Harrison, was able to stop all the takedowns and really just kind of put it on her throughout a 5-round fight. I know it may be the unpopular opinion because a lot of people aren't actively checking out the PFL events and stuff. But that being said, man,
Hold on.
Surprised with that one. And that
I need to interject here. So with what he says about me not liking that pick, I also said before we hit the red go live button that I'm not hating on that pick because she did beat Kayla Harrison, and Kayla Harrison was one of the top 2 or 3 females in the world. So I did say that I totally understand why you made the pick, and also clearly we are watching the PFL. So if you're fans of PFL, you know, we had Catherine Koraginas on the show before she went and fought against Jacheva. So like I said, we get down on all the combat sports and the pro wrestling, as you can see by this belt, which I plan on keeping for the Royal Rumble, even though Corey seems not too interested in winning it. I plan on winning it because there's a nice paycheck that comes with that as well.
But
no, I just don't show my competitive edge until it's ready. You know what I'm saying? I hold it back
until he gets
the
Johnny
fire's
back.
in there, though. Don't worry, Kyle. You don't want to bring out that beast right now. It's too early, man.
You say you don't want to bring out the dog. You don't want to bring out that dog, man.
No, but to wrap up my point, I wasn't necessarily saying it in that way, Kyle. I was just saying like you definitely got a little more. You definitely got a little fired up. We were like over Whaley, and in my opinion, I feel like Whaley is not to like shit on somebody because they've already earned that spot or something like that. But I feel like Larissa Pacheco really kind of came out of nowhere into a lot of MMA fans' eyes this year because of the fact that she was able to do that yet again. Went through another undefeated season, was able to just put the lights out on all these girls. If I'm not mistaken, it was all finishes throughout the whole season for her on her lead up to the final. And to do that to Kayla Harrison and win that $1 million, man, I feel like there was no clear, decisive person other than Whaley. And I feel like besides the fact that she beat Joanna the way she did, I felt like that Carla fight was what it should have been. It wasn't anything necessarily spectacular, so it didn't really, like, I don't know. That Larissa's my women fighter of the year. There you go.
And he's washed his hands of it.
And just like that, it's done. All right, so since you say it's done, what's the next topic?
What's left?
Did you give out your official pick, Kyle? I thought.
Yeah, I said Whaley.
Yeah.
You did.
I
thought
Whaley.
you did before the show, but I didn't think you did on air, actually. But,
no, I did. I said Whaley.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, so to lead into that, I feel like rightfully so, we should get to knockout of the year. Knockout of the year should be coming to the table at this point. And with that being said, like I had previously mentioned before, knockout in my eyes has to go to something that really has some implications on it, something that really has the stakes, something where you just weren't surprised. You were surprised by it, right? I kind of, yet again, I felt like I was leaning too much in the Leon Edwards direction going into these awards. So I was really contemplating putting the Chandler knockout of old Tony Ferguson, man. That one, yet again, hurt the fandom in there. But the way he was able to lift that foot up there and just put him out, face planted him, that one's hard to ignore for sure. But that being said, implications, man, title bout, it's just everything that encompasses that. the fact that Kamaru Usman was going into tying Anderson Silva's all-time title defense win record, everything else, like everything about it was just crazy. And then for it to all get ended by a 5th round head kick, it's got to be Leon Edwards, man. Boom. What do you say? Pound for pound, boom, headshot, dead, or like whatever his tagline that he put on it. Man.
Whatever it was, it worked.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Headshot, you gone. But unfortunately, we picked the same one because again, implications. He did it at the end of the fight. He was losing that fight. And then, like he said, you know, what does Kenny Omega say? I must bid you adieu. Goodbye. Good night. Bang. Good night. Bang. It was over for Kamaru Usman. So we're going to see what happens when this rematch happens. What up, though, everybody that's jumping into the stream? We just covered our knockout of the year. I picked Leon Edwards on this one. Corey had a different. Corey, who'd you pick again? You had, what was your knockout on that one?
Yeah, Leon.
You had Leon too. So we all went Leon, man. So it's unanimous in here. Leon Edwards, knockout of the year.
Hey, Jordan hasn't picked yet.
I thought you agreed with me.
Kyle's
We're so simpatico.
Kyle's
no, I thought he agreed when I said mine. I thought he said we picked the same again. My bad.
Well, Kyle, I could see you've been dabbling in that Michigan's finest, but shout out to the sponsor.
Use code KO3MF.
But guess what? I'm gonna agree with you guys. We're going unanimous on this one. Like you said,
well, what the fuck? Then why'd you have to go do that unless you just planned on plugging the sponsor?
You didn't let me say it. You tried to skip over me. I don't appreciate that.
I did not.
I don't need your shit. How about that? I don't need your shit. Knockout of the year, Leon Edwards, man. That is everything.
Listen here, Bushwhacker.
Check it out. Story based, just dude. That's everything you could want in a comeback fight, knockout, whatever, dude. That was the Rocky moment, like you see in movies, dude. That was the most inspirational UFC fight, maybe of all time. From the commentators' reactions to the timing, to the never give up tagline, everything you could imagine, inspirational wise, that was in a UFC fight right there. So that is easily the knockout of the year.
I love that comment. I missed the name on that one, but the fact that
Joey,
he said he changed his Johnny Walker's name to freaking Jack Daniels is hilarious on that one. But that is a very good honorable mention. The way Jamal Hill slept freaking Johnny Walker was insane. They're like, what? It was like he went on a roller coaster ride real quick before he went down. That shit was wild. Very good honorable mention right there.
Hey, shout out to Sweet Dreams, past guests of the show. You know, you talk about big stakes and you ain't kidding. You talk about big stakes and big implications. He's got some, but you know what else gives you big stakes and implications? Them motherfucking taxes, bro. And if it's tax season, you know you got to hit up our other sponsors, G3 Payroll, Tax and Accounting, and tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. And I promise you, come WrestleMania season, you could be kicking it with me and Megaran and who knows who the hell else. So make sure you hit up G3 Payroll and Tax and tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you, because like the $1 Million Man says, everybody's got a price. Get yours at G3 Payroll. But all right. Hey, man.
So what's the lead? I feel like from knockout, you kind of have to go into submission, right? You kind of got to go from one spectrum to the other, right?
Wait, what's left? What do we have left?
Submission of the year.
I know submission's still up there because I've been waiting to get this one out.
Did we do Breakout Star of the Year?
Prospect. I don't think we did.
We did Prospect of the Year, right? We did Breakout Star of the Year.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Well, right? I was going to say that's really kind of the same.
To lead in on submission, though, there was a couple different ways I could go with this, in my opinion, and both of them kind of revolve around Charles Oliveira, interesting enough. I feel like you could either, to your point, J-Bone, the fact that he was able to go in there despite all the noise and everything that was going on with him just being stripped and everything, and then to go in there and defend his title by just basically running through Justin Gaethje and then getting him in just a hellacious submission there at the end was kind of the first thing that popped in my mind when I was like running through all the things. I was like, that had a lot going for it. It really did, right? Except for the fact that him, who in that fight became the then, the leader in UFC for submission victories, he then lost his actual belt to Makhachev, who submitted the shit out of him. And I'm like, well, how do you take it away from Makhachev when nobody, when that fight was announced, I was like, it'd be very interesting if his wrestling works against somebody with this good of submissions, let alone the fact that he was able to go in there and submit him himself and make it look easy and have Oliveira tap in kind of rather quickly. So
very
I gotta
quick,
give it
very quick.
Yeah, all that long spiel to say, I feel like Islam, he's got to fit on this list somewhere, and I feel like that's where it is. Submission of the year, Islam Makhachev.
All right. Well, that's actually, I thought about that one, but for me, it was actually Oliveira against Gaethje. Because the fact that he was able to not only have Gaethje fucked on his feet, and then to submit him to be able to do it, because Gaethje's no slouch on the ground.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me. So I feel like the fact that he was able to hurt him. Now, granted, he submitted him after he hurt him, but I mean, Charles Oliveira has shown he can submit you, whether it's the beginning of the fight, end of the fight, middle of the fight. To me, I guess maybe the fact that he hurt him and then submitted him made it a little bit more impressive for me, because he's showing that he can do it on his feet. And then to submit him versus finishing him on his feet, it's still showing that he's true to his roots, but he's evolved his game. So for me, Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje is my submission of the year. Although Islam is got to be right there, like 1A, 1A or number 2.
Well, not to break the tie or anything, but I don't really have a choice here because you guys picked my 1 and 2. But if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira again, man. Submitting Justin Gaethje. It's a big deal. The way with everything going around that fight, the fact that he vacated the title, came out and just dominated the way he did, attaching his name to that belt, dude, that was huge. And that definitely gets my submission of the year.
Yeah. Before we jump off this topic, I did do a fair bit of research, and I feel like one fight that really fell under the cracks throughout this year was the Nikita Krylov versus Paul Craig fight. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but Paul Craig was able to round up a triangle after just getting thoroughly dominated, just getting his ass whooped. I mean, just from pillar to post in every way you can possibly describe it.
Paul Craig
just got whooped on, was just laying on the ground looking like that fight should have been stopped 10 times over, and then was able to lock up a submission. And I feel like that's the nature of jiu-jitsu, and what makes submissions so much of a threat is the fact that at any given point,
the jiu-jitsu push.
Yeah, you can always find a way to end it with your jiu-jitsu if it's I stumbled through that a little bit, don't worry.
You fresh.
A lot of words to stumble over tonight, man. It's all good.
That being said, I feel like that was an honorable mention I had to throw out there real quick. But go on.
Is there more? What's left here? We've covered.
You didn't pick your submission of the year.
Me?
Yeah, you just
Kyle.
I thought my bad. My shit's I'm getting fucked up.
Kyle,
anyways,
I'm getting fucked up.
The only one we got left at this point. The only one we got left is comeback of the year. All right, comeback of the year. I'm making my comeback in this bitch. I don't want to pick first on this one though. So since I've been skipping over J-Bone can go first.
I mean, how do you not pick I mean, this is the Leon Edward MMA Award of the Year, right? I mean, how do you not pick this? Once again, getting your ass whooped for 5 rounds, you're coasting to the end, you're losing, and you dig down and get that head kick. Leon versus Kamaru Usman, it's got to be the comeback of the year if you ask me. I don't know what else you would pick at this point, but
it's I mean, there's definitely other options of like very entertaining fights. Like you could even go something as simple as like Billy Quarantillo coming back against Anthony Hernandez just like 4 weeks ago when he was like yet again looking like he was about to be finished, you know, but you got to go towards implications.
That goes
you
with
go
stakes.
towards
Yeah,
you got to go towards the things that matter, right? You got to go towards the things that really have actual ramifications for the sport. That being said, the Leon Edwards one, man, like you said, he really had his Rocky moment. I'm glad I saved this point,
but he didn't say "Yo, Adrian."
because because I was going to mention it earlier, but I'm glad I didn't. I just remember sitting there watching it at your house, Kyle, and I was like literally at that point where I was watching the fight. My eyes were on the TV, but my mind wasn't on the fight, right? It was just like there, but I was spaced out, you know? And I just remember like seeing it, hearing it, and then feeling it, you know, like actually like then the neurons connected and it was like, oh wait, that's what just happened. I remember I was sitting in like a awkward position on your chair because my back was hurting and shit. So I'm just chilling and I just remember being like, oh, like it literally like my whole body felt that. Like it literally like it brought out an emotion in me that like I feel like only fight sports really can, right? Like you feel that way about like your certain home teams and stuff. Like when the Lions lose on Christmas, that shit hurts your feelings and shit, right?
Or like when they lose to the Panthers because they didn't fucking wake up till the fourth quarter. Oh shit!
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But beyond that, like there's no emotion that you feel beyond like that. Like, oh, this guy is a lock for one of the greatest in the sport, and then all of a sudden it happens, right?
Bang.
And there was that moment, and it would be wrong for me to not say, like you're saying, Leon Edwards, Award of the Year, knockout, comeback. He's the fighter. He's so many names on this list due to that one kick that he was just able to throw out there off of. He could have set it up all fight. All he did was a slight feint and just botted him. It wasn't even nothing crazy. It was just the power and the actual fact that he finally did it. He finally committed to an actual shot that had fighting ending intentions and it landed. It was just wild.
Most unpredictable sport in the world, man. That's why we love it.
Yep.
The only thing that would have made that better would have been like, have you guys ever watched that movie Ali? Obviously the Muhammad Ali movie, but that movie Ali. You remember when he knocks him out? Tomorrow, no man, tomorrow. That would have been the only thing that would have made that would have been so much better.
So have we covered all the topics now? Is that it?
Well, Kyle didn't give his official pick, but I'm assuming that's a Leon Edwards as well.
Leon Edwards definitely was the one for me. Because, dude, he was down. See, now he skipped me. He had to get his shit in. Had to get me back. Had to kick me in the balls. He had to kick me in the balls. Corey's been playing mediator all night.
I'm a proud supporter of our sponsor as well, and I'm keeping track over here, boys. So what's wrong is what I'm trying to say.
Next time I see J-Bone, it's on site.
Yeah. I'm screwed.
No,
but you know what?
Is there any other honorable mentions or anything? I feel like I snuck a couple across. Was there any other, major spotlights or anything you guys would like to spread throughout the sport?
How about this? I'll tell you what. We'll go around the board here. What about a fight you want to see in 2023? Give me a fight that you want to see that maybe hasn't been made yet that you would like to see in 2023. I can go first. I'll tell you what I want to see.
Let's
hear it. In the bantamweight division. I want to see my man Chito Vera because I love watching that guy fight. I want to see him fight Peter Yan.
You want to see him fight Peter Yan? Okay.
Yeah. I would love to see. Okay. Is he fighting?
Who is Chito fighting?
Yeah,
he's got to fight.
Sandhagen?
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Sandhagen.
That's going to be a banger.
Once he kicks his ass, I want to see him fight Peter Yan.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah.
That's a bold
claim. Once he kicks his ass, clip this one, Kyle. Once Chito Vera whoops his ass and moves on to Peter Yan, he's going to kick his ass too. And then he's going to kick Sean O'Malley's ass again. And then he's going to be the bantamweight champion of the world. You heard it here first. J-Bone says it. 2023, Chito Vera is going to be your new UFC bantamweight champion. Book it. Let's hope nobody else wants to kill me because of that.
I like it. Kyle, what about you? What's your fight that you would love to see matched up?
Mine kind of involves the same person, but I would like not the same person J-Bone picked, but I would like to see John Jones versus Francis Ngannou or John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Damn it, I want to see him fight at heavyweight at this point. He's made every indication that he wants to fight at this point. I don't give a shit who you get on the dotted line. I want to see him fight one of them two. No disrespect to Cyril Gane or any of that shit. I want to see John Jones fight in 2023. And if he's going to fight at heavyweight, I want to see him either fight Stipe, who I feel like either deserves a rematch or should get a number one contender fight, or give him Ngannou off the rip. To me, that's the fight to make. Book it. Two big, sweaty dudes beating the shit out of each other. Ngannou's fist is bigger than my head, and I got a big-ass chrome dome. You can check out that at our Instagram at KO3C Pod. I'm just saying. But
I got 3 real quick ones myself. One of which was yours, Kyle. That was going to be my number one. We got to see John Jones and what he does with all this time that he's taken off to get this big to move up to 265, right? Definitely my curiosity factors through the roof now, especially with all the talks about, now's the time and stuff like that. Well, now's the real damn time. Let's see what you got. Let's get him in there. My second one, I feel like, is going to be, it was originally, I am super excited, but I feel like this matchup's all but officially announced for when the date is Henry Cejudo versus Aljamain Sterling. I feel like the way their two styles clash is going to be an incredibly entertaining fight for who ends up holding on to the 135 belt. Super excited for that one. I know that might be like a not the casual pick, but I really am looking forward to that fight. That being said, I feel like that one's already matched up, so I want to see how my boy Sugar Sean O'Malley does against whoever wins that fight, because I feel like that's going to be a huge draw, and it's going to do some crazy numbers. That being said, number 3 is all about the entertainment factor here, boys. It's all about the entertainment factor. Conor McGregor's talking about making his comeback, right? And it's against nobody else except Michael Chandler. It's got to be Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor, 2023. I might to go from the like hardcore fan in me talking about Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo, then to go to the complete casual side and talk about Conor McGregor and Chandler. I feel like that's just the best fight for an entertainment factor that the UFC can possibly put on. So I'd love to see it.
I'm with that. I'd like to see that too.
Can't go wrong with that, dude. Like I said, I mean, they're all going to be badass shows. And like I said, you got to make sure you hit that subscribe button because, you know, like I say, we mess with combat sports and pro wrestling, and we don't just like WWE. We like all the wrestling around here. You know, we are fans of the NWA too, so you got to make sure you hit that subscribe button because this Thursday, 9 p.m., I heard it might be lights out. Hit the motherfucking button. Peace.